into this conversation. So as I said, welcome to Mindset Mastery. My name is Suzanne Hart, and the topic for today is 3 things you need to know to prepare for where the world is going. And there might be some of you going, where is the world going? What do you do when you don't know what you don't know? And when you hear things like 800 million jobs will be displaced, lost due to automation and technology. We have seen what's happening to healthcare. Think about what's happening in terms of retirement. Will we have a pension? Won't we have a pension? So the question that we're really going to look at is, are you ready? Are you getting ready? Are you thinking about getting ready? Or are you frozen going, I don't know? I am sitting down with my good friend and collaborator, social media strategist, Taria Hodge. I always love to sit down with this one. We have the best conversations as I prepare for my lives. A lot of times the topics come out of our own banter, our own questioning, our own brainstorming when we mastermind every week. And this was one that came up. So Taria, I am so excited to chat with you. Are you ready?
Yes, definitely. I am ready. It's going to be a good conversation, and I'm super excited.
So let's start. Let's just start with we were we heard the stat. We heard the stat on the weekend. We looked at the stat after that, and when you hear 800 million jobs globally are going to be displaced, and I know you told me that that was 39 million US in the US alone. What does that do for you?
Oh my gosh. First, when I read the stat, my first inclination is like, wow, that has to be wrong. Like someone miscalculated, you know, 39 million US jobs, 800 million jobs across the world, worldwide. Wow, what does that say? What does that even mean? So it's the feeling of the I don't want to say panic, but is that queasy feeling inside of your stomach? Because like when you sit and you think about it, it's just like that affects everything. And I think we are like just tipping the iceberg now, because one of the things that I see every day, multiple times coming across my news feed on my phone, is the unemployment numbers and how the unemployment numbers, are rising, right? So, like the media is making, a great point to make sure that we stay on top on how many,
Yeah.
numbers the unemployment, how it's trending, right? And then it's like you sit and you think about it. And then the question becomes, well, is anybody going to be exempt? That's the real question, right? 39 million jobs. Do we even have that much jobs?
Well,
You
and you
want that much?
and you know, and when I looked at it, they said jobs like accountants. I thought an accountant would always have a job, right? They talked about, well, retail and all, a lot of technology jobs, a lot of like, we talked about Walmart going, cashier
Yeah,
less, and we've been seeing that.
yeah.
So we're talking like the list went on and on. And so, we're what it says to me is, we went from, I know, the industrial age to the age that we're in now, and now we're moving into another age, it would seem like. And so what it said to me is, none maybe none of us are exempt from this change.
And it just lets you know like how interconnected everything is,
Yeah.
and just having like one slight disruption or one slight change in an area just affects everything. Okay. And I think, like I said, when I heard it, the thing for me, was, wow, is anybody really going to be exempt from this? And then number two, what do people have to start to do now, to prepare for it? Because eventually it's going to come your way. Okay. So it's either you're going to, be like taken totally off guard and be caught out there, like they say, caught out there with your pants down,
Yeah.
or you're going to start to put things in place, to prepare you for when that happens. And then I know some people are out there, Sue, and they're probably like watching and they're wondering, well, why are these two ladies talking about it? They don't have jobs, right? They're entrepreneurs.
Right.
But
And
I'm telling you, it
I
affects
think
everything.
absolutely. And I think this is the thing. We are entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs are people who provide solutions. And if the solution
Right.
that we're providing is no longer necessary, then or any entrepreneur, if the solution that you're providing is no longer necessary, you're out of employment. So it's about shifting and changing. And so I
Not
love.
even
Go ahead.
necessary, but even the way how you provide your solution. Okay, that's the other thing, right? How you
Yeah.
provide your solution. If that becomes obsolete, then what?
Yeah, we've seen, let's just talk speakers. We've seen speakers who have been conference speakers and going into businesses. And when in March it came to a grinding halt and speakers were no longer speaking, the ones that were innovative and were able to shift began to speak online. And but there were speakers that were like, I don't know what to do. All my employment, all my gigs dried up. So we're talking about those sorts of things. And this is really a mindset conversation. And I know we're doing mindset mastery. And to me, almost everything is a mindset conversation. And I think there's a tendency to, I want you guys to examine your mindset, because there's three types of people. There are the people who will, and we saw at the beginning of the pandemic. I don't even like saying the word, Taria, but we saw the people who just kind of got mad at every official and said, you guys better figure this out. You guys better fix it and tell me what to do. So there was that group. Then we talked about the gardeners and the ones that were just visiting family, watching Netflix and gardening and just going, I'm just going to ignore it, put my head in the sand and wait till things get better. And then there were the people who were like, okay, what do I need to do? So one of the first questions I want to ask everyone is, who are you? Which one of those people are you? What is your mindset traditionally? Is it fight, flight, or freeze? Right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Fight, flight, or freeze. And which are you? I know I'm fight. I'm fight. I'm gonna come out. I'm going down
Coming
fighting.
out swinging. You're coming
Right?
out swinging.
I'm going down fighting. We're gonna figure this out. So, but first of all, you want to ask yourself, what's your tendency when change, chaos, unknown, challenge sits at your doorstep? Do you get overwhelmed? Do you say, I don't know what to do? Do you put your head in the sand and say, I'm just going to pretend it's not happening? Like, who are you? Because I think do you think that's a great place to start?
I think that's a great question, too. And I think that that's a great place for us to start, for people to really get present to that. Okay. Because I heard you say, like, I'm a fighter, I'm going down fighting. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, me, no. My fight comes a little bit later on in the journey. I think I'm that person that when change, how I deal with change is like, there's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But it's not a panic, is a kind of sit still and just kind of watch, observe, like where things going. And
Mhm.
I'm looking, and I think I'm still at that phase, right? So anyone who has had the opportunity to speak with me, around this topic, like you guys know, I'm still in the Virgin Islands. People are asking me all the time, like, Taria, when you're coming back? And I'm like, yeah, I'm still checking the temperature, right?
Yeah.
I'm still looking at what's going on. So that's my natural response, to things. Like I'm that person who, kind of sit back, I kind of look, I'm not totally frozen, but I'm not fighting yet either. I'm just
Well,
kind of like surveying the land, a little bit and trying to see like, okay, like what's really going on here and what is it that we got to do?
and I think I tend to do both at the same time. Like I'm surveying and I'm so solution. Sometimes you think I was a dude, truly, right? I'm just like solution. I need a solution. That is my go-to. I feel empowered when I'm seeking answers, right?
Mhm.
I'm curious by nature and I feel empowered when I'm seeking answers. And I think a big part of it is to really kind of ask yourself, who are you? It's a great, great place to start. But I think it's also, the other question I want to ask people is, are you one to accept things? Like, and because it's a great thing. So I'll give an example. So, let's go to, most of us have been conditioned to go to school, get a great education, go to get a job, climb the proverbial ladder, and live happily ever after. And I always joke about, you live and you get the 2.5 children, the house with the picket fence, the dog, the 2 cars, and the handsome dude, the husband, right? That is like that's what we've been sold, particularly as women. That's what we've been sold. And so we're in a time where that, although we have been sold it and we might be emotionally attached to it, there's evidence everywhere that go to school, get a great education, all that stuff is not really working all that well. So the question is, are you one who actually accepts that? Or are you in the denial of it, going, well, you know what? It's working for me right now. Well, maybe it's not. It looks like it's working. It's working for the moment. Are you want to look at it and go, hmm? And I've been in both places. So I'm gonna ask you, when did you realize that equation was like, we were in that shift, that transition? Because really what we're talking about, as we talk about 800 million jobs, we're talking about the world being in transition. So when did you realize that what you were taught, what you were schooled, what you learned, that whole get an education, when that's a whole other conversation about education versus knowledge. But when you were taught that, when did you realize, okay, that don't work?
And it's so funny that you're asking the question, because I realized that it didn't work when things didn't start to align with my values.
Mm.
Okay. And and I bought into it, right?
Oh,
Coming
yeah.
from the Caribbean, I have parents, and they said, hey, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go away, you're going to get your education and everything. And then I found out that life isn't really what it doesn't really turn out the way how you look at it, like when you're a kid and you're growing up, right? And so that's everyone. But I think for me, coming through that experience, because I too wanted the house with the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids. I don't even know what 2.5 kids. They said the 0.5 is a dog. I had 3 whole kids. So, and I remember, going through that journey. And when I say it did not align with my values, I coming through that journey, and I was just like, this is not what I expected it to
Mm-hmm.
be. Like, sure, the money was there, okay, but the fulfillment wasn't there for me. And I started to take a look at things differently when I realized that, number one, 3 values weren't being met. First, my service, being in service. And this isn't something that I really understood and I got present to until I stepped over into my journey of entrepreneurship. But I used to be that person on my job who would argue all the time, like, why are you doing stuff this way? Do you know that there's a better way for you to handle your
Oh, girl.
customers all the
Big
time
stick,
stay
big
in
stick hand.
trouble always in my manager's office, like every single day, because I just knew that there was a better way, a different way that I could serve. And I got told one too many times, this is not your company. Okay. So you really couldn't argue with that because it really wasn't. The second, the second value, okay, that that dream encroached upon was my health. And I
Mm.
realized that I was doing all of these things and I was just getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And they're like, that's not going to work for me. But I think the thing, Suzanne, that really trumped it for me is when I took a look at, my most precious thing, which is my family,
Yeah.
and when people started to dictate to me when I could see my family, when I could spend time, how I should spend time with my family. And they had no regards, as to what that, picture looked like. And I just saw more work hours being piled on. I saw less vacation time, or they found clever ways to take vacation time from you. And like I said, I live in the islands, right? Like I want to come home and I want to spend time, with my family. Christmas for me isn't just one day. I'm
Mhm.
not going to fly home for a day. I'm not going to buy tickets for the whole family to come home for 3 days. It just doesn't make sense. And so when I started to look at those things that I held dear to me, I knew it was time for me to make a shift.
That is so true. So I'm going to ask everybody to really ask yourself as we go through this shift, are you hanging on and is it encroaching on your values, those things that you hold near to you? And for me, it was the exact same thing. It was health, it was family,
Mm-hmm.
it was service, because I was also the person that was always innovating. And as I was saying before the call, I'm so own way, and they'd be like, no, you got to do it this way, and I'd be like, no, I'm gonna do it my own way, and they were like, no, you got to do it this way. And I always felt I was shrinking my capacity to fit this box that was predetermined. Like you, I had all those things, and I remember compromising and trying to fit, never fitting, that sort of thing. But I think the thing for me that really got me, and this is, and the reason I asked everyone, are you accepting the changes that are happening? Because I was working 40 to 60 hours a week. I was traveling an hour to work, an hour from work. I ran around with a pager on my hip. I was doing the do, and I was doing it really well. I had got increase in pay. I had climbed the ladder. I was like, the only place left to go was the top of the leadership, and I didn't really want to go there. So I was where I wanted to be. I was managing all these departments, and I was getting these glowing recommendations to the point where I was able to negotiate an increase in salary. I want you guys to get this. So negotiation happened. They give me my raise. And then one day I walk into work and all my stuff is packed up in a box on my desk, and I have been asked to depart. And I shared
Wow.
this to impress upon people that that was the moment that I had my paradigm shift. And I remember driving down the highway, tears running down my face, devastating, thinking of all the hours I had contributed, all the things I had done, and really not believing that they could just pack me up and give me the boot. And talking to,
Mhm.
checking with lawyers and doing this thing, and really finding out, yeah, they could just do that to you. You're in management. And Sharia, that was the day that I realized this thing about security. One,
Yeah.
I realized that I hadn't stepped in acceptance of the reality of my world. Because the reality was there was still more month at the end of my money. I was still own way. I wanted to do things my way, and I was shrinking my dreams and my capacity to fit a box. And on top of that, I found out the hard way that someone could just let me go. There wasn't really any security. And so for me, why I'm talking about this is the question is, are we examining actually what's going on in the lay of the land? Or are we just trucking along going, I see it, I see it, I see it, but I won't pay attention to it because this is working or it's kind of working. Mine wasn't even working, but I wanted it to work because I didn't want to be responsible for the change. I want you guys to get,
Oh,
I didn't want to be responsible for the change. So I was forcing it to work. I was pissed off when they let me go. Biggest gift ever, because I had to come face to face with it wasn't in alignment with my values. I wasn't getting paid what I was worth. There was all these things, and there was nowhere else to go.
yeah.
And
That no, but that's so good, right? Because that's the thing. And here's the thing. So my journey a little slightly different because no one packed me up. I packed me up. and I ran. And it felt like I exited stage left like so quickly because I knew what I was fighting for, right? And to me, it life just wouldn't be right,
Mm,
if, it felt like I was settling. And then at the end of the day, like, what are you really settling for? So I think that you just hit on a very important thing. Like, do you have the courage? So as you're going along this journey, and you see things, because there's some things that you could see like with your eyes, and then there are also things that you feel like inside of your gut, like it's
yeah.
not right. So what do? Do you just sit in that place of unease and discomfort? And I know a lot of people, like you said, is either they're burying, their head in the sand. They don't want to address it, because the truth of the matter is change is uncomfortable,
It is.
right? Change is so uncomfortable, and especially when you don't know like what's on the other side. So that's always the challenge, right? How do you move forward? How do you move forward when you don't see the entire picture in front of you?
And that's such a great point, because and why we're bringing this up and why we're having this conversation is I think we're there's like so many of us right now sitting in that place where we can't see if we feel like we can't see the next steps, that we can't, there's like the future seems so unpredictable. There's conversation about things are going to get crazy come the fall, as all the stimulus packages, all the things run out, and people are going to really see where things truly are. So there's all that stuff happening. And I think the question is yeah, change is scary. But this is the I think what I really want to highlight, and what we want to highlight, is that, you know, I may be sitting here very comfortable and be afraid of what's out there. But this is the thing that I always remind myself. I can step out there, little step, on my own terms, or I can get thrown out, like just,
Mm-hmm.
and not know where I'm going to land. And I think what we're really talking about to everyone is that, part of it is really going, okay, things are changing. How can I prepare for the change? What do I need to do so I can start to take these little steps outside into the unknown, versus waiting and then getting thrown out into the unknown and being not prepared? Because for me is I'd rather step out on my own terms. And
Yeah.
once I had my aha moment and my world was rocked, and I thought, okay, go to school, get a great education, live happily ever after, is not true. And yes, I did go get another job, but I went and got another job with the intention of becoming self-employed. And I never thought I wasn't sure if I was going to give up that job, but I knew I was going to build something on the side that gave me security and added to my income. So part of it is really to ask people, that everyone that's listening, is what are you doing? What are you doing to do that preparation? I think the thing, that is really key that most successful people do is they go looking for answers,
Yeah.
right? And they go looking for opportunity. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because we've both been talking about this, have been in this conversation about answers and opportunity, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
and in the craziest of moments, in the middle of chaos, in the middle of unknowns, in the middle of unpredictable, there's opportunities if we're willing to accept where we are, accept the necessary changes, and go looking. So, talk a little bit about how you have been looking and what
Yeah.
you're doing.
So it's so amazing, because when I sit and I look at the definition of entrepreneurship, right? That's the definition right there. Someone who goes out and actively seeks, to find solutions, right? And so and I always say this, like, I never considered myself being like an entrepreneur. So I was not that person who sat down on their 9 to 5 dreaming about entrepreneurship. I just knew that something, had to change, something had to shift.
Yeah,
And,
me too.
yeah, just coming through it, it's just like, oh my gosh, looking at the opportunities. And especially in this time, Sue, I want to say this, like opportunities are all around us, but really and truly, it's a mindset shift, right? That you have to have. So it's like sometimes you could sit and you could look at all the chaos, you could look at all the stuff that's going on, and you could either fall in, to that victim role, or you're going to look at it and say, okay, this is what's going on. Like you said, acceptance, right? This is where I fit in this whole equation. So the first problem you got to solve is your problem. That's the first thing before you get out there trying to solve anybody else's problem. Like, how are you going to solve your problem? Like, how are you going to shift what's going on, shift around what's going on, so it keeps you focused on the things that you want to do. You keep pulling towards your vision.
I love it.
Okay. And I'm telling you, it's so amazing when you get to that place where you're not sitting like in the victim, like the woe is me, I can't believe that this happened. And you actually look and say, well, oh, okay, there's opportunity here. So what can I do? What do I need to do? What do I need to shift? Because that's where the growth is. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm so glad. And I tell people this all the time. I'm so glad coming through this time that my circle is who my circle is, including you, because you're one of those persons that I have conversation with all the time. So how do we take a look at this? This is here. What do we do here? What do we need to shift around
Yeah.
this? What do we need to, look at 10 steps ahead, 15 steps ahead, 20 steps ahead, and start working towards? And I think when that actually becomes your mindset, you're actually in a stronger position because you have your vision pulling you. It's like where you want to go. And so,
Ah,
yeah, even though things might come at you, you might have to dodge a little bit, you might have to duck a little bit, but you know where you're going, versus not knowing where you're going and you're just out there like drifting. And then when things come, they bounce you around and then you're all over the place, right? And you feel like you have no control.
and I love what you're saying, because I love the fact that you're saying the first problem that you have to solve as is your own as an entrepreneur. And I really want to put this in perspective, in that we're not saying that go quit your day job or whatever it is and be an entrepreneur. We're more saying adapt an entrepreneurial mindset during these times, and ask yourself, how do I solve my problems? Right? How do I solve the problems that I see as I adapt to the future? And this is the interesting thing. Opportunities don't show up really until you start looking for them. It's almost like you have to decide, okay, where I am is okay for now, but it's not going to get me where I want to go. And you've got to fill yourself up with a burning desire to solve your own problem so you can design and live the life you desire. And then you end up actually looking for opportunity, seeking out opportunity, having conversations that have opportunity pop up for you. But I think the key thing is, first you're required to sit in that place of desiring more for yourself, and then going and asking yourself, how do I solve this problem for me? How do I solve this problem? So I wanted to give you guys some ideas of some problems that we're gonna talk about needing to solve. But first, I want to just let you guys know that if you're really liking this conversation, and this is all about shifting your mindset and getting ready for chaos, change, challenge, and difference. If that's the case, I want you I want to invite you to opt in and really kind of engage in the Mindset Mastery mini course, Master Your Mindset, Master Your Life. And what that does is it actually gives you an opportunity to really begin to shift and look at how things influence you. So life comes at you, and how do you react versus, or do you respond? And it helps you look at your thinking. It helps you look at your emotional mastery, which is going to be key over the next little while as things come at us. It also looks at what conversations are running you in your head, and it begins to have you create that awareness that prepares your emotional mastery, right? Your emotional intelligence, so you can better cope with crisis, change, challenge, and sometimes chaos. So what you want to do is it's in the invitation. You can click the link, or you can put mastermind in the comments section, and you'll get a message in Messenger, and then after this live, you can go fill out the form and start your journey on the mini course. But and so one of the things I want to just continue. Well, let me see what people are saying, because I see.
I was just about to say, Joyce is out there and she's commenting with the word mindset. And Claudia is out there saying, wow, this is so powerful. Be responsible for change.
Yeah, so true. So true. And Claudia also says the ladder sucks. And it's been engraved on our souls. That is so good. That is so good. I got to go like and love that one. Oh my goodness. Uh, Anila's saying, I love the title. And she says we both look incredible. Thank you, Anila.
Wow. You know,
And
I wanted to before we continue, I just wanted to comment and piggyback about what you said about opportunity. And here's one of the things that I've come to understand and get more present to, you know, over the years. You know, so sometimes people, you know, talk about opportunity, and they talk about seeking opportunities. And sometimes for me, I don't know if it's like necessarily like we're seeking opportunities and then we go out and we find them, or the opportunities have always been there. But because where we are and because of where our mindset is, we don't see
I think
what's around.
I think it's exactly that. I think it is, you know, until you and I have a problem that needs solving, we won't bang into the opportunity that's been sitting in front of us, probably possibly for years. And so it really is, it's, you know, when they say when the student is ready, the teacher
The
appears.
teacher. Yep.
Well, that's really what it is. When the student is ready, opportunity shows itself, right? Over and over and over again. And I liken it to going to test drive a car at the dealership, and then you leave the dealership and you see the car that you test drive. It's like everybody bought the car. It's because you're tuned in. Your tuning fork has been dialed into that frequency, and you see it everywhere. So part of it is really asking yourself, what problems are you going to be required to solve over the next little while? So I want to talk about a few, and just get your opinions on it. So one of the things, you know, we're often taught during these times that we got to tighten our belts and budget and do all these things as we go through these times. And I got to tell you, I tried the tightening my belt thing. It worked, but it was a bleak, not fun life. Didn't like it at all, right? And I was shrinking my dreams and shrinking the dreams of my family to fit that pocketbook that was also shrinking. So what I decided, so my solution was this thing called new money. So one of the things I'm going to ask everybody is, as you look at what's happening around you, is there a need for new money? And new money just means finding a way to add to what you're already doing so that you can continue to live an abundant, juicy life. New money, new money, new money. And so that's the first question. And I'm going to ask you, is there more month at the end of your money? And do you need new money? Because if you need new money now and things are about to change, put two and two together. So that's the first one. What are your thoughts on new money?
Yeah, so I'm smiling because new money is always good. Is always good, right? And here and once again, it goes back to the mindset, and it goes back to how you're taking a look at things. And even if you aren't to that point now, I hope that this conversation is opening up the mindset to think about it. Because what's one of the biggest things that we've seen coming through this time? I'm just going to fast forward it and just keep it right here, present time, right? Present time. We're in this space where people are saying, hey, the government about to run out of money. Okay. So there was some promise of some money. People still sitting down waiting on money, and they're freaking out because the money might not be around. Now, what I love about, you know, other people are saying, well, okay, let me go out here and find new ways, to create that new money. So what are some other opportunities? And I'm seeing some very creative things,
Yeah.
at this time. And like you said, we're not here to convince anyone, to walk off and leave their 9 to 5. But I have seen like the entrepreneurial spirit and that entrepreneurial bug like hit some people, and some people are finding some very creative ways, to show up in the marketplace and create that new money. Okay. And I'm telling you, that mindset is so much more powerful than sitting down, watching the news, talking about when am I going to get my check
Yeah.
and what's going to happen come next month. Is there going to be any more money, around to get a check?
And this is what I'll say to everyone that's listening. If you have been employed for the past X amount of years, if you've overcome any challenge, if you've solved a problem, you have all the tools necessary to create new money. So that's the first thing. It's beginning to step into innovation. And so the first question I want everyone to ask yourself is am I in need of new money? The second one, as things change, and this is a key one that in what's going on right now, is we're seeing that health is an issue for a lot of people. There's a health concern. And so the
Yeah.
other question, another way to look at money, so we talk about new money, but then there's also the question of health concerns or retirement concerns. So in other words, if I'm not able to work, does money flow? And that's the other question. So do I have ways where money is coming into the household when I'm not physically working? And why are we asking this? Because, you know, the conversation I have with my parents, my parents are retired, they both have pensions, and they're doing their thing. And I always joke and go, yeah, you guys get retired. I don't know if we don't have any pension. I don't know if that pension thing is going to be around. And it's real for me. It's real for me. So for me, rather than count on pension, to me, that's going to be a bonus check. If it happens, I'm like, let me prepare for the possibility that it may not be what it is. And if it is, it may not be what I need. Because I know
What you
there were
think you
jobs,
need it to
right? That's
be.
real. Because there were jobs
Yeah.
back when everybody had a pension. Now I'm going to ask everybody, how many of you listening right now are either employed in a place where there's no such thing as a pension anymore? There's no such thing as anything that happens when you stop working. So the second question is what happens if we go into this season again where people are sent home, all the
Yeah.
subsidies and all the things have been exhausted. Is there a way for you to make new money and or have money coming in when you're not working if you ever had to take a break? And it may be that you don't, but the question is, can you create it? Can you find
Yeah.
a way to create it? And we're asking real questions because these are mindset shifts. But reason we're asking it is the mindset that got us to where we are and got our parents to where we are is not the mindset that's going to be in the next decade because they're already warning us. It's a shift.
And I think what you're saying, Sue, is so important, because these are the conversations that I've been having, with my parents years ago. when I was on my 9 to 5 and I started, like I said, there were some things that just weren't in alignment with my values. I started to see, how things were shifting, right? And, I started to say, like, hey, this might not be around, right? What do I do to put myself in a better situation? What do I do? And sometimes, like, when you have that conversation, especially at the time when things aren't really present yet, it kind of seems foreign, right? To some people to even think like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not even real. But that's the thing, that the key is always to be ahead and think ahead. Like, what are some of the things that could possibly come down the pike that could affect what it is I'm doing? As like I said, tying it back to your vision. As you take a look at your vision, what's really pulling you, and
Mhm.
going after your vision. What are some of the things that will affect this? What can you put in place? What can you do different? What can you change? What can you do more of? Right. And so those become, like the guiding questions that keeps pulling you forward. And I have to say, like, I'm sitting here, just like in awe, because I watched a few months ago when things changed and people were sent home. And it seemed to me like everybody else around was in chaos. And I looked and I said, well, nothing really has changed, for me. I'm, still working from home. I've been
Yeah.
doing that, but that's the way. But that was my vision, and I want people to really get this, right? Like, that was my vision when I first stepped onto this journey.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to create my business in such a way that I didn't have to worry about all of those other external factors. So, did I know 10 years ago that we would be in the midst of what we are in now? No, I didn't know that 10 years ago. But the vision, prepared me to put the things in place to be able to sustain, and so as
Yeah.
I take a look at the future, what else do I have to put in place that would allow me to sustain 10 years from now, 20 years from now?
For me, Tria, it's very similar because when all of this happened, not a lot changed for me. I continued to work from home. I continued to do what I did, but this is kind of my preoccupation, and I really want to put this out there because I know there are people that are probably have preoccupations. So my preoccupation a few years ago was not having was having more month at the end of my money, and I was like, I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to solve that problem. My preoccupation was, what if I couldn't work, would money flow in? So I'm gonna solve that problem. My preoccupation was retirement, not retirement. uh, I chose, I'm probably never going to retire, but I want to work because I love it, not because I need the money. So my preoccupation is those three questions. So I'm going to work to solve those problems. And also it's also staying current and being innovative. How do I adapt to change? So anybody knows I'm a voracious learner, reader. How do I adapt? So part of where the mindset is a mindset is really, and I want to put these three words out because I wrote them down when I started: desire, faith, and security. I want you guys to,
Oh,
those are the words: desire, faith, and security.
yeah,
And
someone needs to put those three words inside of the comment section: desire, faith, and security.
right, and I want, and I'm recommending that everybody listening take it on.
Mhm.
Step into a burning desire for whatever you want your life to look like when it comes to that 20, 20, 30, whatever they're predicting. Predict your own life. This is what I want my life to go with, right? So burning desire. The second one is step out on faith and say, I'm going to be innovative. I'm going to become the best problem solver. I'm going to become so solution focused that I'm going to solve these problems. And then the third is to change your definition of security, because security is only something that you can provide yourself. It's not something that someone else can provide. And is there really such a thing as security? For me, security is my ability to adapt, my ability to shift, change, adapt, innovate, no matter what's happening in my world. So shift that and understand that you and I create our own security by our ability to be flexible, adaptive, innovative, creative. And so those are the three words I wanted to leave everyone with. And when we said, what is the number one thing that wealthy people do, successful people do, is exactly that. They're always looking into the future, casting their vision and going, how do I, these are the questions I need to answer. I was listening to Kevin Hart's interview with Tony Robbins, and he said why he's so successful is he says, if you're doing something, I want to understand why. If there's something missing in my life, I got to go find an answer. If I'm not happy with where something's going, I got to go fix it. And he says, it's up to me. It's my job to just design the life I want and answer the questions. That's a mindset. That's a Mamba mindset. That's a super achievers mindset. That's a superstar mindset. It's a mindset. And what we're inviting you to do is to step into that for your life.
Yeah. And before we wrap it up, I just wanted to touch, on the security issue, right? Because it goes back to what we initially started the conversation with, right? What dream were you sold that you bought into? And, at least for me, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I thought that all of those things, having, the house and the cars, I thought all of those things meant security,
Mm-hmm.
and it really didn't, because at the end of the day, anything could happen,
Right.
right? Anything could shift at any time of any for anything. But the question, or the real security, comes from knowing that when those challenges arise, that you're ready mentally, to still keep going. You're ready mentally to keep pushing. And so people like ask me all the time, they come up to me, Sue, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you do this? And you're doing this. And I'm like, what? The only thing I think I really committed to was figuring it out.
Yeah, me too. Me
You
too.
know, that's the only thing that I committed to figuring it out. Like, I'm going to figure out what I need to do to keep me moving forward towards my vision, because my vision
Absolutely.
hasn't changed,
Yeah.
right? It
And,
hasn't changed.
and that's the same thing for me. I committed to figuring out what I need to do to land on my feet. I committed to
Yeah.
figuring out what I needed to do to live the life I design. I committed to finding answers. That was it. Right.
Yep.
And standing up every time. Fall down 7, stand up 8, whatever that quote is. I committed to do my bounce back, my resiliency, Anila, is like
Uh-huh.
I committed to being able to bounce back. Ah, such a great conversation. It's been, I think it's a powerful one and a necessary one. So if you like this conversation, what we want to do is invite you out to continue this conversation. We are having an event on Saturday, and it's all around this area, this whole area. And we're going to talk through and share some of the things that we're doing. We're going to share, some of the solutions that we've come up with. And it really is around being proactive. And for me, I have learned to be proactive over the years, and this is a time where being proactive is so key. Proactive around our health, proactive around our finances, proactive around who's going to take to manage our time, proactive around
Yep.
what we do, and really, and it's not about quitting your job or doing all these different things. It's about shifting your mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset, maybe becoming an entrepreneur at your workplace. But the
Mhm. Yeah.
question is, what are you doing to design your life so that when change comes, you're like, I got this, I'm ready. I got this. I'm prepared. I have been preparing for this moment. And I see this moment as opportunity, not challenge. Imagine seeing every opportunity as just as an ability to
Yep.
shift, change. So are we dropping the link
Yeah,
in the
so
comments?
I believe that Colette is out there. So Colette, if you can, just go ahead and drop the link to our Super Saturday event. I'm so excited. I can't wait to continue the conversation like on a deeper level, in this arena, because I think Sue, the conversation that we're going to have at our event on Saturday will answer some more
Yeah,
burning questions and go a little bit deeper as to what are some of the things that you can do. So I think we just scratched the surface
yeah.
tonight to just kind of open up the mindset to get people to start to think, about it. But we're going to come and then we're going to share with you some of the actual things that you can do that would allow you to shift and then allow you to come into it. So can't wait,
Absolutely.
can't wait, can't wait.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things, where I'm committed doing is just creating a paradigm shift. So if you walk away with
Mhm.
nothing after Saturday, is you'll be walking away looking at, things a little bit different. And that difference might be the thing for you to go, okay, now I get why difference is so necessary at this moment, at this time. So if you're excited for this conversation, go ahead, click the link, register. We're looking forward to seeing you there. It is going to be an amazing 3 hours of high packed information conversations. And yeah, just things that make us go, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what literally what do you need to prepare for what's coming ahead, because things are coming. So like, don't stick your head in the sand.
No,
you know, you can't wish it away, right? But it's what do you have to do, to get ready. So love
uh,
it. I love that Claudia is out there saying awesome. Anila
yeah,
says she's looking forward to the event, being prepared at any moment. Yes, Anila, that's what it's all about, being proactive in every area of your life, right? And that's where the true, control comes from, is like when you're proactive and you're taking things on, and then you're not sitting in what they call that victim mode, where like when
absolutely.
things happen and then you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know, but being able to just move forward. So love it.
Yeah, and I think Claudia's saying about, just being proactive and responsible.
Mhm.
That is so key. And as we wrap, I'm going to leave you with the words, right? Burning desire, step out in faith, create your own security. Because each and every one of us has the capacity to do whatever we choose to. It's about setting that intention and going and looking for solutions, and opportunity will meet you, because luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So go create your own luck. Tria, thank you so much for hanging out, and you look
You're
amazing.
welcome.
You look
Thank
amazing.
you. No, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Great to continue the conversation on Saturday. And thank you, Suzanne, once again for what you're doing with Mindset Mastery, because these are definitely conversations that are needed. So thank you once again for being the visionary of the platform.
So you are so welcome, and it's such a gift to be able to collaborate with you on the regular. So, everyone, I have been speaking with a social media strategist, Taria Hodge. My name is Suzanne Hart. This is Mindset Mastery. We will be back here next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, register for Saturday and look for the event description next week. It comes out early in the week, and come back and join us. Everyone, take care. Blessings. I love the hearts, and we will see you next week.
All right, take care. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye bye.